Hey guys, I'm checking in just a few minutes early, so we're just going to wait till 8 o'clock to start, but why not get things going? I got coffee going, and we're a few minutes ahead here. I was looking at the dam here, seeing what they were doing down at the dam, seeing what they're doing for letting the water out and such, but it's coming up. The water levels are coming right up, little by little there. I mentioned on the dock update how they seem to be coming up like 1 inch a day, and that's what we kind of had here back through the third, fourth, fifth, something like that. But then in the last 2 days, here we are in the sixth. It came up, what is that, like 3 inches? Then another 3 inches or maybe 5 inches or something like that on the 8th. And then today, it just seems like they're keeping that steady there. So that is the elevation at the dam, and it's coming up. It's filling up. We're up to just a few feet. What is that? 4.5 feet low. Normally it's at 786 feet, and we're at 781. So just call it less than 5 feet. So it's pretty good, man. The lake's filling up. It's almost time. But good evening. While we're waiting for folks to kind of check in and stuff, give me a systems check. Everything sound good? Everything look good? YouTube gave me an error saying that I had some glitching or something, like it wasn't smooth streaming. So basically the video, it's telling me it was jumping and stuff or something like that. But now it's telling me it's excellent. So if there's any problems, just let me know. I can usually fix it. It's usually nothing major or anything, but welcome to the live stream, folks. Glad you're here. Just a couple minutes. Get a coffee ready if you want, and we're going to sit down. We're going to talk a little bit. I wanted to, with the spring just starting, I just kind of wanted to start off with something that was very practical, because we're going to see over the course of the summer here, we're going to see a lot of people on the water, and it's going to be like it's the first time they ever put a boat on the water. So I figured we'd talk a little bit about some of those basics, just boating in general. We're of course going to touch on a lot of fishing stuff and application of that. We'll look at the map a little bit, talk about the weather and such as well. But yeah, I wanted to talk about boating. People need to know. But we'll give it just about 5 minutes here, and then we'll start it back up. All right. nice. That's a good run, man. My coffee's almost done. I'm anxiously awaiting for it. The weather was perfect for it, that's for sure. It's a good start to the riding season. I did not take the bike out. I fired it up, but it's ready. I'm ready. I think we all are. Feels like it was a long winter, a long, slow start to spring. And I'm not sure that it's really over yet, but I'm glad to see the cold weather leaving. I'm going to pour a cup of coffee, and then I'm going to go ahead and get started with you. We might be a minute or two early, but I don't think anybody will mind. Hey, Phil. Hey, Mark. All right, well, welcome to the live stream, guys. I had an error code come through saying that there was some video glitch stuff, so if anything happens, it's weird, just let me know, and I'll fix it. But welcome to the live stream. I'm going to cover a few things today about boating, and I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the lake and a little bit about conditions and weather and such. But the big question that I posed here for the title was, you boat, bro? I might talk a little bit about the dock situation at Raystown too, and I don't want it to be like a nag fest, talking about bad boaters and things like that. I'm just going to talk about some boating principles that we can kind of keep in mind while we go to the lake and such, but to keep folks safe. And I'm going to talk about some important gear to keep you guys from getting written up. I don't want you getting any tickets. But before we do any of that, let's jump onto the dam. I want to look at the dam with you. The dam's been coming back up a little bit over the last couple weeks, and because of this rain, the Army Corps of Engineers really took advantage of that, of the rain and the precipitation we've had with the with the melt and the runoff and such. But the lake is coming right back up. Normally it sits right around 786 foot, and we're sitting at about 781 feet. So we're less than 5 feet low. So the water's coming up. This is, I think I might have nailed this prediction. That is, the ice was going to be melted off, and then I said that the water level would be right for making the dock serviceable, kind of like right at the same time. And it looks like that's close to that. You can start using docks now. I think other than H, I think they're all available. So everything seems to be open except for H. Now tomorrow, you might have noticed I did a short dock update when I was at Ice Out Lake Trout. Well, tomorrow, Tuesday, it just kind of works out with my schedule. Tuesdays is kind of whenever I get out to do a dock update. So I'll do a little cruise of the lake tomorrow and have another video for you. Just look for it on Wednesdays. And I'll try to keep that up for as long as I can, or as long as I care to, I should say. But if we're just looking at the dam, I'll point out this. You can go into this time series tab right here, and you can see what the water has been doing over the last couple days. And this is what I was talking about in my dock update, how we were just adding like an inch a day. And it was just creeping up. It was just barely coming up. But over the last couple days, from the 6th through present, it has gone from about 780 feet. And as we're sitting right now, we are sitting at about 781. So it's going up over 2 feet, we'll say. About 2 feet. I'm sorry, I said slightly over 2 feet. Just under 2 feet. I can do math. So it did come up a little bit, but I think we're still waiting to see it kind of top out back at normal. But anyways, that dam link. So if you guys want to track what the dam is doing, that's underneath the video. You guys can check that out. with the warm-up that we're having, I think, unfortunately, it's not going to be long-lived. I think we're actually going to have, tomorrow. I think we're going to get tomorrow to enjoy. Phil's got the right idea. So tomorrow's going to be the day. If you can get out, let tomorrow be a good day for it. The ice should be almost gone, so you might see some remnant ice around the lake. I'm just assuming. I haven't been over to look at it, but tomorrow I'll go look. All right, Brock, I appreciate that, yeah. If you guys didn't notice, when I'm posting on Facebook with the dock updates, I'm saying that if you get to the lake, take some pictures, and you can just put your picture right in the comment underneath my dock update announcement. That way, folks, we can kind of all just find it in one place. So if you want the update for the lake, you get not just my video, but you also get some photographs from around the lake from individuals like you. So on Facebook, if you see my announcement for the dock update, feel free to add your photo underneath it. And it doesn't have to be that day or anything like that. You can, at any point during the week, if you're out there taking pictures, just post it in there. When I put a new dock update up, I erase that old dock update. You see what I'm saying? So it's when you see a dock update there, it'll be current, is what I'm saying. So if you guys ever want to post a picture there, you're welcome to do it. It doesn't matter if it's just a fishing picture. If you just want to show off a bass you caught, by all means, post it in there. You're all good. But yeah, tomorrow should be a good day to get out. And unfortunately, though, I think that's the day. If you guys look at the next like 10 to 15 days, it's going to be kind of chilly. And ultimately, I think they're actually calling for some ice in the forecast. So it'll be kind of miserable out on the water, but, play it how you want to play it. Let me do this. If you guys are looking at getting up to the lake, if you're trying to plan a fishing trip here, real early spring, I did take a minute and kind of look at this, and I kind of mapped this out. I think the weekend of the 20th is probably the weekend that you guys want to consider. That's the better weekend. It's just after the new moon, and this is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if I'm remembering right, the 20th. Yeah, Friday is the 20th. And it's a couple reasons. I got the meridian times are like early afternoon here. And then you guys can see, I did a stream last year, talked about the moon is falling. You'll see that the moon is actually pretty close to, it's close to the earth when it's making its orbit. So if you believe in the moon at all, which I do, I'm a believer. But that's the weekend I'm going to tell you. It should be good, and even better news, it's an afternoon bite. So you guys could go down even after work. If you have work on Friday, you guys could go down. You don't have to rush to get to the lake. It'll just be, an afternoon, evening bite. So that's a good thing, I think. It's nice when you don't have to wake up early. You can choose to and have a great full day of fishing, but you don't have to. So the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, those are the days that I'm recommending you guys go down. If you're making plans for a trip, if you're going out by yourself, that's the day to do it. All right, awesome. Well, welcome to the live chat, guys. I appreciate you guys stopping in here every Monday night, 8 p.m. And, we've been pretty steady about these, so you guys are kind of picking up on that. You've been supporting me with the live streams, and as long as you guys are doing that, I'm inclined to show up as well. So I'm glad you guys are here. Appreciate it. I'm going to turn that off. And let's kind of get into it. I was on the phone today with one of the officers from the Pennsylvania fishing boat. I was just talking to him about marine channels. Basically, it was just what channel we should be using while we're out on the water. And I think I have my radio right here. Step off screen for just a second. Yeah. So I was talking to him about the marine radios that we use out here. I like the handheld ones because, well, if you're going in the water, you kind of want to take your radio with you. But anyway, so this is my simple little radio. There's nothing to it. It's just got an on-off switch, and then you can change channels. A little bit you can do with it, but it's nothing major. This is the one that I chose to use, mostly because if I lose it, because I know myself, I'm not heartbroken. It's not an expensive unit, but it works just fine. And I use that up at Lake Erie too, so I can call all the way back into the shoreline. It's no problem. I think they have a range of, 20 miles or something. If you can see the other vessel or the shoreline, you can reach them with the VHF. So I'm going to go over a couple things that you might want to have on your boat. If you don't have them already, that is the first one. All these things, they're linked down below, so you guys can use that if you want to start shopping on Amazon. I appreciate it. Those are affiliate links. Amazon gives me a small commission afterwards. And guys, I want to kind of brag for a minute. This past month, I'm going to have a record earnings month from Amazon affiliate. So it's still only about $30. So I'm not ready to do cartwheels or anything, but it is proof that you guys are following the links. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's every bit helps, But the radio, I wanted to bring this up because it's actually important. Of course, you can use all the what are they called? The official channels, like safety channels, the U.S. Coast Guard channels and such. And when you buy one of these radios, you'll get a little cheat sheet of all the different radio stations. But the station we're going to use at Raystown Lake is going to be Channel 9. Channel 9. Channel 9 is going to be just for boat to boat. That's just going to be fishermen talking to fishermen. You don't have to, use all the lingo that's common. So this is just the chatter line. This is us just talking boat to boat. Probably one of the biggest drawbacks of using like the actual official radios is the learning curve that comes with it. That is learning how to, what channels to call on or how to talk, how to open a line and how to close a line, how to open a conversation and close a conversation. So there's a little bit of a learning curve to that if you've never done any kind of radio communication. But Channel 9, just turn that thing on and start talking. So there's nothing to learn there. If you use Channel 9, we can just talk about the weather if we want. You can say there's some issues. You can say, hey, I ran out of fuel. I need to tow back to the dock. You can use Channel 9 for whatever you want to use it for, but you don't have to worry about, interfering with anything official. So, radio, that would be my first tip. Make sure you have on the boat. For certain. I want to go to the map. I had a gentleman here, this is probably 2 years ago now, but I was up here fishing around this area. I forget exactly where I was. I think I do remember, actually. I think I was right back here in Yoakum's area right here. I think I was fishing along this edge right here. And anyways, I saw a boat sitting right out here somewhere in this column, and he was a downed boat. He was in distress. The boat's not moving. He's out in the main channel. He's just shut down. It was a dead boat, I could tell. So I pulled my lines in, and I rowed over to him, and I got to talking to him, and they had it was like a speedboat, kind of. And what they had done is they did a rebuild on the engine, so they were doing some engine work on it. And they put in back here at Shy Beaver. I want you to look at this. They put in at Shy Beaver, way down here in the bottom of the map where you can't even see because my big head's in the way. And they ran this lake all the way up on a fresh rebuilt boat engine. And they got all the way up here. Their goal was, yeah, you guessed it, they wanted to run all the way up to the dam and back. They were optimistic. They were happy with their engine. It was running good, so they ran it. And guess what happened? it never seeks to. It doesn't. It doesn't really surprise me anymore because I'm guilty of it too. We get overconfident in our abilities, or we get overconfident in our equipment. It's stretching our equipment, our abilities, or just we're stretching beyond what is what you might consider to be not necessarily dangerous or safe. Maybe you're not crossing that line, but it's just not wise. And of course, the gentleman's out there in the water, and he's apologetic. He's like, "Oh, it's so dumb. I shouldn't have done this," But I lassoed him onto my boat. I got a good tow line, and I drug him all the way back to Shy Beaver. It was the rest of the day. So it took, I don't know what that was. It took 2 hours or maybe 3 hours even to get down there. And that was the balance of the day. But I got him back to his truck, and that's what they needed. They were kind of in a pinch. They didn't have people around the area to get called, to get shuttled and stuff. It was a mess. But anyways, this is what we do for folks from time to time. You can choose how you play that. In hindsight, I probably should have just drug him over to 7 points and gave him a tip of the hat, you know what I mean? But anyways, we got him back to Shy Beaver, and he got on their way. I'm pointing that out, I guess, because the water doesn't care. The water doesn't care if you did a good job or a bad job. It's happy to leave you stranded out there. Your boat's not your friend. It wouldn't have cared if there was a hole leaking in there. He could have been out there swimming, and the lake doesn't mind. The lake doesn't care. You have to take care of yourself. You got to be looking out for yourself. If you didn't have somebody to drag him all the way back, at the very least, it would have been a very difficult day trying to get from 7 points back down to Shy Beaver, trying to get that ride, get somebody to take him for a trip. Would have been rough on him. So all that just to simply tell you, if you guys are doing some boat work, don't go far from the dock. Do true break-in procedure and really take your time with that and enjoy that process. You don't have to run down to the dam and back. That's an arbitrary goal. It doesn't matter. Make sure your gear is running and you can trust it, that you believe in it. And I might add this as a secondary too. Take a second engine. You can use a kicker, or you could use a trolling motor, and last resort, have a paddle. But paddles, I don't know. I've been out there before having to use a paddle. It's not a good place to be. I'm reading the comments here. Robin says you went to 7 points, had a small amount of skim ice. A few places there was a boat, a mile marker 8, doing some fishing. All right, right on. Yeah, I think the ice is all but gone. There might be some remnant, but probably not too much. So just so you don't get stranded out there, I want you guys to take my phone number down. And what you can do is you can just go to my website under the fishing section. And I have my phone number down here at the bottom. Everybody should have that phone number in their phone by now. If you don't, it's because you don't want it to be there. So if you want this phone number in your phone, take and jot it down now. But get yourself a radio, something you can actually talk to folks with. And Channel 9 is the channel we're going to use. If you're in distress like that, you can call. And even if I'm not on the water, I usually know who's on the water, or we'll figure it out together. But at least you have somebody to talk to then. You can reach out if you're stranded. You have somebody before you have to call the Coast Guard or Sea Tow. You can reach out and try to handle it yourself. Do a self-rescue, if you will. Let's talk navigation. I went back and forth about what I wanted to talk to you guys about, and ultimately I came back to this. This simple diagram that I'm sharing with you here is one everybody should be familiar with. If you have a boat, you should recognize what I'm going to talk about here. It shouldn't be any confusion at all. However, where it does start to divide the crowd is how you respond to these lights whenever you see them. There's three light colors on each boat. You're going to have the red, the green, and the white on the rear. The white on the rear, I'm going to tell you guys, if you just want to be legal, just make sure it's nice and high. Technically, it's supposed to be above the highest point on your boat. So if you have, if you've got an awning or something up over top, you got a bimini cover, your light should be higher than that. And I know not everybody adheres to it, and I certainly know the Fish and Boat Commission does not regulate that. I don't know that anybody's ever been stopped for it being too short, but the regulation is it should be up above that. But the green and red light is actually what I was going to talk to you guys about. As simple as it is, this is really just a stop and a go. This is stop light and a go. So we're going to be talking about how you approach other boats based on this light that you see. And this is so simple and so very important. I'm going to share this simple story with you, and then I'll use it as an illustration as I kind of go through to explain the different lights and how to approach and how to navigate with another boat, and the exceptions to that. I was on my John boat. So I'm on my John boat down at Raystown Lake, and I'm coming up on, I was actually going back to James Creek from Nancy's. So if you guys understand where that's at, I can show you on the map, actually. Let me jump on there real quick. So here's James Creek. There's Nancy's, and I'm going to zoom in here. And I want you to imagine I just camped out down here at Nancy's, right? So I just got done camping at Nancy's, and I'm on my John boat, and I was hugging the eastern shoreline, if you will. So I had my little John boat. It was a 14-foot John boat, and there's a vessel coming down, and I'm talking about a massive vessel. You guys know the vessels I'm talking about. He was coming out of James Creek on full plane and just cruising. Well, what I did on my John boat as I came around this edge right here is I was staying close to the shoreline. There was a lot of boat traffic that day, a lot of wake and stuff, and when I saw him coming, I went to the shoreline. So I turned over toward the shoreline. The reason I'm pointing that out is because that is not how you're supposed to navigate with an oncoming vessel. Essentially, I turned across his path. I did it because I'm in the John boat and he's in this massive vessel, but he did not understand. So he didn't understand, and his reaction was to actually turn toward the shoreline as well, as if to cut me off to stay over on the correct side. So by the law, by the letter, he was doing the right thing. Let me show you why it was an issue, though. And I'm going to talk about what I think he should have done. So this is essentially what I was experiencing that day out on the water. This was us. There's me on this John boat here. And then this is him on that big vessel. What I did is on my John boat is I actually turned across this way. And this is not how you're supposed to handle it. So you're supposed to turn to the right and go around this way. I turned to the left to come across. This large vessel was throwing a large wake. And I think what he didn't recognize was just behind him, right over here, was a second large vessel throwing wake. If you've never been out on Lake Raystown with a small boat, with a small vessel, like a 14-foot John boat and a 15-horse tiller Mercury on the back, you're using your hand to actually crank the throttle up and stuff, it can get, well, you'll get nervous at times. And I can tell you that I was getting nervous. Thus, the reason I was getting off the water. It was getting hectic. There was a lot of boats. So what I did is, instead of trying to pass over on this side and potentially get into another issue with a second boat, plus the crisscross and wake and a lot of uncertainty there, what I did is I turned to go over toward the shoreline, which would have been down here. This vessel's response was to turn over and to try to maintain his right of way. So I'm using this as an illustration because the most important thing that we do out there is that we're just safe. That we don't let our egos get the best of us, that we try to just be safe. So let me point out two things here. First of all, not every boater out there on the water is going to know something about boating. As a matter of fact, if you've ridden at Raystown or really on any water at all, you realize pretty quickly that very few boaters actually understand navigation on just navigatable waters. So they act a little bit goofy sometimes. But number two, those rules they're not hard and fast. They're just something to give us some guidelines to work with. I was crossing over the shoreline to get away from the chaos and the uncertainty that was going to be out there, and his response was to turn and potentially make it worse. Ultimately, what I did is I turned 90 degrees and I went straight toward the shoreline. I made it a very obvious decision that he could see from a distance that I'm not giving this up. I'm getting to the shoreline. And he had his hands up and he was upset and everything, and he blasted past me and I got rocked with the wake, but everything was safe. I got back to the dock. I survived, not to ruin the story. So how do I think he should have responded? Guys, it's going to be the most difficult thing to ever expect from a boat. And yet this is how he should have responded. He should have came off of plane. He should have slowed down and came off of plane. Why? It was obvious that something was different, something was strange, something was going on that he didn't understand. I don't think he saw the guy that was behind him, and it was just creating this awkward situation. The best decision that you and I can make is whenever things get confusing, we slow down. We take speed out of the mix, out of the equation. It's such a simple thing to do, to just simply back off the throttle and let that boat come off of plane. You'd think you were asking people to give up their firstborn child. I know how it is out there. It's full throttle or it's anchored. That's what it seems like. But the first thing I want to tell you guys as far as boating safety is try to drop any ego you have, because you probably just don't understand what's going on, or the other person doesn't understand what's going on, and some bad stuff can happen really fast, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Come off plane, slow down, give people space. Outside of that, yes, we're going to use the rules to navigate, but first and foremost, let's be safe. Let's not let our ego get the best of us. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know you guys don't do that ever, not at all. But I'm talking to the folks who might follow up later on this live stream. So back to this diagram here. Ideally, what you want to do is just like you were driving down the road here in the United States, is you stay to the right. If I go to the next diagram, this one's just from the rear. This one is a little bit different. You can pass on either side. Me personally, I like to pass on the right if possible. Sometimes you can't, but I'm going to recommend you guys do that, because then the boat you passed is inclined to drop in behind you, follow in your wake. Thus, everybody's kind of moving toward the outside of, to the right side of the channel, so away from the oncoming traffic. Whereas if we get in the habit of passing on the left, the boat you just passed is going to move over into your wake as you pass. That's where the easiest path is to go down, because the boat in front of you is quite literally plowing the way for you. And that moves us toward the channel, so toward the center. I don't think that's the best choice. I think just stay to the right. I think it's a good idea. That's a side note, just sharing that. So you can overtake on the left or the right. This diagram's saying to the left, but I'm suggesting to the right. And then passing to the port. This is the same example that I gave you before. And then whenever you are a stand-on vessel and you have this 90-degree approach from the giveaway, this guy right here, this is the one that I'm actually talking about, coming down off plane, slowing down. This guy here is required to do this. And if he will, he'll just wrap around to the rear of this other stand-on vessel and make his way down the lake. If you haven't taken any boating courses, they offer them. The Fish and Boat Commission does a couple boating courses, at least one, each year. They do it at different times. You got to track it down for them. I was just on the phone with him today. I should have asked him. If anybody hears about it, post it on Facebook. So if you hear about the Fish and Boat doing a boating course, we'll make sure everybody knows about it. They're good courses, guys. They're really worth going. They'll make your days at the lake so much better. If nothing else, it'll give you you'll start whenever you start complaining about other drivers. I don't know. Maybe you'll be more correct. I remember down in Florida when I took my the course you got to take to be a captain. He said something. He had an eloquent way of saying it, but I won't be able to repeat it. But he basically said all the rules are there just to help. Ultimately, you have to stay out of danger, and they have to stop producing danger. And sometimes those positions are switched. So sometimes them staying out of danger and you not producing the danger. So anything we can do is just make the lake a little bit safer would be good. Yes, that's great. So you can do your boater safety course online. Absolutely you can. But I'm going to suggest that you attend these courses in person. I'm talking about courses where you go down and you sit for a few hours and you actually learn. I'm not trying to bust on the online classes, but I don't believe they're nearly as in-depth or effective, and asking questions for them is, unless it's like a live stream, like you're Zooming them or something. But even so, I think this is something we should all kind of continue with. But guys, you're talking to me. I'm a captain, and this stuff's interesting to me. I was watching these massive vessels today, and he was just I was watching some stuff that's over my pay grade today, because that stuff's fascinating to me. I love seeing it, but I know I have an interest that not everybody does. Is my point. But I will encourage you to attend those classes more so than go online. But make no mistake, those online classes, the courses you can do online, those are good too. You're not always the stand-on vessel either. I've learned this one, and this is just a rule of thumb. This is just erring on the side of caution, if you will. I, at first, will assume that I am the give-way vessel. That is, I'm the guy who needs to change. I'm the one who has to yield. This is important to, I start with this frame of mind at Raystown Lake, because Raystown Lake doesn't always exist on a two-way street. You're not always boating on a channel. Sometimes you're out in the middle of a bay and boats are coming from 7 different directions, and it just turns into a hodgepodge and a mix. It's where these roles get real hazy. You start getting like, well, I'm stand on to this guy, but I have to give way to this other boat, and then there's 3 jet skis that are just jumping our wake. What are they doing? Let me point this one out to you. I actually found this diagram. I really liked it. I'm going to come back to all these. This one here I thought was kind of cool. I want to keep this in perspective to let you know where we actually are on the hierarchy. At the very top, this has all the right-of-way. The emergency craft can go up, down, backwards, left, right. It doesn't matter. They can go wherever they want to go. There's nothing we can do to overtake them. They win every time. And then if there's a tugboat or a large commercial craft, and then all the way down here to commercial fishing or ferry, And then under here is unpowered. And then at the very bottom, power-driven boats. Look where we are, folks. We are at the bottom of the hierarchy. The only people that we're actually worried about here is us. We are the ones, whether you're on a john boat, a jet ski, an outboard like mine, or a larger inboard, if you will. This is us, way down here at the bottom of the hierarchy. So it's a good idea, like I said, to kind of start with your mindset that you are at the lowest, you're the lowest one on the totem pole, so to speak. Essentially, if you start off with the mindset that you are the giveaway, until you communicate with the other vessel, you want to start from that spot, is what I'm saying. So you start as the giveaway until it's very obvious to you that you're the stand-on. So if I go back to the pictures, or back to the lights, the green or the red, if I'm stand-on and I'm showing the boat my green light, because the other boat sees that green light over there, that means he has right of way. He can stand on and he can go. If I'm showing the other boat the red light, that means I'm the stand on. So I'm going to keep dead ahead. I'm going to keep on going, but he has to navigate back and behind me. It's the light you're showing the other guy. So this is how we communicate using a simple light. So basic and so very simple. But if you start from that perspective that you want to approach this with caution for two reasons. One, you might be the one who needs to give way. The other guy might have the right of way. He might have the stand-on vessel. Or two, you could be wrong. They might not know. It might be confusion. So there could be a lot of reasons why it's not perfect. So you have to start with this approach of, say, like a passive approach, if you will. Until the communication has occurred, assume that it hasn't been. So show them the light that you need them to do. It works great at night, too. It's really predictable. If you guys ever get a chance to be out on big water, and I'm talking about like on Lake Erie or something like that, if you're on the Great Lakes or even the ocean, and you start working in the channels and you see the lights and the other boats and stuff, even at nighttime you can navigate very, very safely if you just read the lights. It's not hard to figure out. I just threw these up here because I wanted to show, I'm going to talk a little bit about the wake zones, or the no wake zones, I should say. And this is the resort marina right here. And, oh, this one kind of got thrown in here. See, look, there's me as the stand-on vessel. And then here's this guy turning to the right. So what I did is I turned around and went back the other way to get to the shoreline. So it was all kinds of confusion, and he didn't understand what was going on. And I fully expect that he still thinks that I was in the wrong and he was in the right. Who's to argue it? And here's the 7 Points Marina. That's a beautiful picture. And look how blown out, how this is just colorized or something. The dock looks just as useless as it ever has been. I'm going to pick on the docks at Raystown Lake, guys. I'm not too impressed by their docks. I just wonder who designed them. We'll pick on them. All right, we'll come back to that in a second. You guys have any questions about anything I've talked about so far? Green means go, red means stop. Yeah. Yeah. If you, the other thing is too, if you were to approach a vessel that's not moving and it's just sitting still, I mean, whichever way the wind blows, it's going to give you a different light. But it's just stopped. You might not know it's stopped. If it's nighttime, you just see a light out there. There's a reason that white light is called an anchor light. Those running lights, the red and the green light, they shouldn't be on. This is one of those rules that nobody follows. At night, all the lights come on until they get back to the dock. But that red and green light, it shows you're communicating the wrong thing to other vessels. When those lights are on, you're telling them that you're underway. But if you're at an anchor, just turn that anchor light on. You know, and it's nice, too, when that light, the anchor light, the white light, it's up nice and high above your boat, and you're actually on anchor, you're spot locked. Is spot lock considered on anchor? Or are you still underway? What do you guys think of that? I don't know the answer to that. That's a real question. Your motor is still moving your boat, right? So are you underway? But if you're truly hard anchored, you know, you put that white light up, it lights it glows up your deck so you can still work. You're fishing maybe. You know, it works really good. But you don't need that red and green light on if you're not moving. Just think of that green light and the red light as being communication to other boats. And if you're not trying to communicate to other boats, then you just don't need them on. I don't think I'm wrong about that, but you guys can let me know. Yeah, it's just underway. I agree. This is simple, but it's important. You know, I want you guys to... I linked a bunch of these things underneath. So with the whistles, if you guys follow the whistle that's underneath, I actually have a pack of whistles that you can order. The reason I suggest the pack of whistles is because you have more than one life vest on your boat. Just get that pack of whistles and put one of those whistles on each one of your life vests. And now if somebody, God forbid, they go over and they need that, they have that life vest on, they're already got a whistle attached to it. So maybe tell them too, say, hey, you know, there's a whistle on every life jacket, so if you guys need to use it, you can use it. And whistles never go bad. You can forget about that whistle for 20 years, and whenever you get inspected, you'll be able to grab one of the whistles and whoop, and you'll pass. So I linked a couple of them. The whistles are super inexpensive, and it meets the criteria. The other thing was the fire extinguishers. I put... It says, so if you have a larger boat, like 26 foot, you have to have at least 2. But these are just the rules that the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat has. But what I'm gonna tell you is the one that I linked down below. I don't have one here handy, but they're about the size of like a hairspray canister, from what I remember. It's been a while, but they're about the size of a hairspray canister. And the one that I linked, it comes in a pack of 3 of them. So you have 3 fire extinguishers. Just put them 3 different places on your boat, and you'll meet that requirement, even if you have a larger. So even if you had a 60-foot boat, you would still meet the requirement because you have at least 3, and that's what the rule actually is. But yeah, you guys can follow the links down below, and that'll meet the fire extinguisher. You guys can get something else too. These are just recommendations. Your navigation lights are pretty simple on most of the boats, but every boat shape kind of has its own thing. And I think you have a muffler. Life jackets is a whole thing too. So I'm a charter, so my life vests have to be a little different than what yours have to be. Mine have to be the one, like if you're unconscious and you're in the water, it'll actually roll you onto your back and your face will be up. Just so there's more of a chance that we'll recover you. But if you have it's your personal vessel, you can use just as long as it's Coast Guard approved, you can use it. I have some of those on my boat as well because I like to just use them for my clients especially. Not everybody wants to wear a big bulky life vest when you're out there, so I got some inflatable ones. I like those. And then ventilation. So the requirements for what your boat actually needs are pretty simple. There isn't that much. But they did have this other list right here of not required but recommended. And I thought it was interesting because the paddle, I know this, but I always forget it, right? To have a paddle on the boat is not required by law, but it's suggested. And I'm going to suggest you have one too. But just so you know, the paddle is not required. I don't know why I always thought that it should be, though. And there's a couple other things there. Everything from like the radio, like I recommended, and a baler, first aid, yeah, extra gas, things like that. You know what should be on here? I don't see it. Is jumper cables. There should be jumper cables, guys. How many times have you been on the water with a dead battery? It would have been so easy if somebody could have just pulled up next to you, you get a quick jump from them, and you just don't shut your engine off while you're on the water. But a dead battery kills the day. So a dead battery kills the day. So having a set of jumper cables will go a long way. And don't expect the other guy to have them, because you didn't have them. But I've jumped a lot of boats, and I've actually been... I think I actually had a video. One of the guys, I think I actually got video of it. The guy came over and he jumped me the one day. Basically, I was fishing all night, and I was using my my stern light, my anchor light. I was banked up, but I was using my anchor light all night long and, fishing, and I killed it. Go figure. Jumper cables. Add that to the boat as well. As far as tools, let me suggest this to you. Tools on the boat. Every boat is going to need its own set of tools, because you are the one who's going to have to work on it. So take all your standard stuff like an adjustable wrench, a screwdrivers, a set, and Allen wrenches if that's a thing. But what your boat needs specifically might be unique. But in that pouch, I'm telling you to get like a bag, like a satchel. Put all your stuff in there with your jumper cables and all your tools and stuff, and then keep that in the rig. So keep that in the pickup truck so that it's in the pickup truck. And you can keep your pickup truck tools in there too. But just keep that in the pickup truck, and when you go out on the water, take it out and put it on the boat. The reason I'm saying that is because you'll have bonus tools that maybe you didn't think of, and your jumper cables will go with you, whether it's inside in the boat or in the truck. You'll always have them. And as a bonus, your tools will stay dry, so they won't be on the boat getting rusty and stuff like that. You won't get lost, just won't rust up and stuff. So keep a nice tool bag in the truck and just put it in the boat whenever you go out. That's a good way to do that. But don't forget the jumper cables. I have written down here in my notes to do a safety kit, and that can mean a ton of things, but I think ultimately what I'm talking about is things like road flares, but signal flares. And I think, is that on the list here? There it is right there. Visual distress signals. Yeah, so if you go to Lake Erie, you'll know that I have a pretty good signal pack. So I have a case just for this stuff. But it's a good idea to have these. And if nothing else, a lot of fun to goof off with. So every year I have a couple signals that expire because the expiration date has to be valid or it's not valid. So if I've been there. I got checked by a Coast Guard and I had some old flares, and it was an issue, but I also had new flares, so it wasn't an issue. But for a moment, the guy's like, he's like, I got him. But anyway, so you can shoot those off and practice with them at 4th of July or something like that, and just get some practice using the flare gun and things like that. But having flare guns is good too. And certainly that gentleman from the beginning of the video I was talking about, had he shot a flare up, I wouldn't have taken so long to get over to him, because I watched him for like 30 minutes to make sure. I wasn't sure that he was broke down. I was suspicious, but I also gave him some time, so maybe he could have figured it out and got underway again. But it just never happened. Had he shot a flare, I'd have known right away, no question. So again, I've linked those below. If you guys want to track down some good signal flares, I have them, the flare gun and everything that I use on my boat. But a safety kit is important. In my safety kit, I've actually included everything from like fire making to extra plastic bags. If somebody brings like on the charter, they come out with cell phones or things that they need to stay dry. I have plastic bags that they can put them in, real heavy duty plastic bags, just keep them dry, especially if it's raining, things like that, or if the we're up at Lake Erie and it's a choppy day, or we're just going out and back and it's a lot of splash. Just something to help out. So little things like that go a long way. Some sunscreen, extra pair of sunglasses sometimes is good too. So a safety kit. That was in my notes. I figured it was worth talking about. I want to say, so here we are, the vessel. I put this one on here because this is the side I recommend you pass on. So you pass on the right-hand side. Usually that's the side toward the shoreline, unless you're out in the bay or, just at an intersecting area. Think of the area right in front of Trough Creek. So here, let me show you what I mean. If you're out here in front of Trough Creek, right here's Trough Creek. This area right here is very confusing at times. You got boats coming up from Nancy's here, coming out from Trough Creek, coming down from 7 Points, and coming out at James Creek. So you got traffic going in all the different directions, and if you meet some boats out here going in 4 different directions, maybe they're going back to Party Cove, right? But if you meet 4 boats going in 4 different directions here, it gets kind of confusing which way should be, who's stand on and who has to give way. Well, if you pass on the side toward the shoreline, you're usually in pretty good shape. So if you're coming around this side, you just take it wide, slow down, bring it off plane if you have to, and then keep it to the shoreline. You'd be all right. But I like this right here, how you keep it off to the right-hand side. And that keeps you favoring the shoreline rather than the main channel. Most boats, you'll notice, you and I both do this as well, we favor the main channel. So we favor the middle of the lake. When we go out on the water, we try, if we're just going to run down the lake, we favor the center of it. And that's just the nature of boating. So other people are out there as well. Guys, if it's foggy, let me say this. I should slow down for 1 minute. I want you guys to capture this simple message. If it's foggy out, don't go on plane. If it's foggy out, it is impossible for you to avoid other boats if you're on plane. If you're on plane and it's foggy, and you see another boat, you're about to hit them. That's how fast it's going to happen. They're going to be coming on plane, and you're going to be coming on plane. It's going to be a flash and then a smash. And it's just like that. If it's foggy, do not go on plane. If it's pitch black out, you can use your lights and hope for the best, but not everybody has lights out there. If you can't see, do not go on plane. How do you respond to that? I personally say go over to the shoreline at idle speed and use your spotlight and watch the shoreline and just pick your way along while watching for boats and vessels. I say that because you're lighting everything up as much as you can. You're announcing your presence with your spotlight, and you're still in good navigating. You're still navigating wisely because you can pick along a shoreline to do so. Ultimately, just avoid the water whenever it's that foggy. It's not always going to happen. I know there's some early morning fishermen. You're going to hit fog banks. I know that's part of it. Just, guys, don't go on plane. Don't go on plane. That gets sour very fast. So Phil's asking about the SOS, the flashing light. Look, if you're going down, buddy, any light works. The issue you're going to have with something like that is it's going to be either handheld or it's going to be floating in the water with you. And the other thing is, I'll point out this too, is not everybody on the water knows how to read lights. They might look out there and see a blinking light, and the waves are kind of cutting over it and stuff, so they don't see whether it's Morse code SOS. They just see a light blinking, but they don't see the rhythm of it because it's broken up by waves. It's low, and it's confusing because it looks like other lights they're used to seeing on the water. Not everybody can read lights. I don't think that is the safety, or that's not the replacement for your flares, because there's nobody who's spent any time on the water that if you shoot a flare in the air, there's nobody that doesn't understand that that's a distress situation. Titanic movie has taught us that. You know, it's like the person that doesn't even go out on a boat knows that if somebody shoots a flare into the air, that's a distress signal. But a blinking light, it depends on the light, I guess. You know, maybe it's something I'm not thinking of, but I don't think the light blinking is going to be what you want. If you're actually in a dire situation, I've read the stats on it. When people shoot distress flares up in the air, that's something you have to do within like 2 or 3 minutes of your vessel sinking, because after that, you're not going to be able to. You're going to be too busy, swimming. You're not going to be shooting flares from the water. I promise that is not something that happens. It's you grab a flare and you start shooting them. Load the next one, shoot it. Make sure that somebody can see you. You want to shoot it in their direction. Make sure you can see them, and it's a scary situation if you really think about it. But when you go in the water, it's well, if anybody has ever tipped over on a kayak or canoe, you get nervous. Even if you're used to the water, you get nervous because you've heard all the stories. So let's talk about this idea. Where are we at? All right. So I want to talk about the no wake zones at Raystown Lake. This is the resort marina. This is right down by the Entrican Bridge. You guys can see over here on the left-hand side all these little white dots. That's the no wake zone right there. So if I bring up, you guys can see the no wake zone there. And if I zip down to the marina here, what we're looking at is this area right here, right around in here, across this area right here. That's all no wake zone right there. There's some other buoys and such too. This is a no ski zone. There's actually some buoys set up right here. These just say no skiing, so you're not allowed to be on water skis up through this area, and that's just because there's a lot of boat traffic expected around the resort. But there's a couple areas on the lake that we have for no wake zones, and there's good reason for that, and this is just one of them. But if you go back behind these no wake buoys, of course, this is a good area to kind of beach up or to paddleboard. There's a lot of campers and stuff back here that use like kayaks and canoes, non-powered vessels. Oh, and I should point out, the non-powered vessels, they have right-of-way. What that means is if you got your bay liner and you're coming out across the water and you see someone out there with a paddleboard doing this, standing up and paddling and stuff, they have right-of-way. You have to give way to them. And if you've never been on a paddleboard or a kayak or a canoe or a small john boat, I would encourage you to spend one day at Raystown Lake on one of those. It will change the way you boat. I promise you that if you respected the small boats the way that the small boats wish you would, you'll have, well, it'll give you better perspective if you spend at least one day in a small vessel. Here at 7 points, this is kind of the same thing. This whole bay area is no wake. You can see the no wake buoys right out here in front. So it's very common. This is recreation area. There's a little gazebo. This is where we were doing our banking or our ice out lake trout the other day. But you can see, this is just all the traffic can park down here. They can put their kayaks and boats in, or paddle boards in right over here. This bay area here is no wake. So they're not going to come back here with the boats. But this area out in here is all no wake. And it still is included right around this edge. I'm telling you this because these are small vessels. And if you have been on a small vessel when a big boat comes by, you guys might have even heard my story before. It's the one time I got sunk on a boat. It was just a large V-haul boat came way too close to the shoreline, right where I was banked up. And the wake, I think he was on plane in 5 feet of water. He was real close to the shoreline. And that wake just came right up over my boat. About 2 or 3 bellows of water, and my John boat was swamped and sunk in about 2 feet of water. It took me forever to get that thing out. And it was frustrating, and of course, you know, I was yelling at him when he went by and all that, but that's the nature of it. So if you can, just avoid these areas. So if you come by the resort here, and you see some kayakers out here, or on paddle boards or something, just stay away from the no wake zones is what I'm saying. We got no wake zones. Here's a better look at the bay. So this is really nice out here. People can come out here and paddle. There's a lot of recreation done at Raystown that is not under power. You see what I'm saying? So we got to be giving thought to them. I'm flipping through these to make sure I didn't forget anything. I don't think I did. So real quickly, I want to go over the no-wake zones at Raystown Lake. Starting at Weavers, everything at Weavers is no-wake. So if you put in at the dock, you are in a no-wake zone. Whether you turn left or right, it is no-wake zone. So this whole area through here. So where's the bridge at? Right here's the bridge. And then here's the dock. So let me zoom in just one time for you. It's not until you actually leave Weaver Falls. There's some no-wake buoys. Where is it? Right in here? Is that right? I think this is it here. Right around in here anyways. No-wake buoys end right there. So at this point, you can actually go on plane and you can cruise up the lake. I shouldn't say down the lake. Excuse me. And there's no wake zone all the way back down here around the resort and back through Shy Beaver. But I don't think there's anything else. I'm not thinking of anything else anyway. Up under Coffee Run is no wake. There's an area here around Tatman that is no wake. I'm pointing out no wake zones because I know there's a lot of paddle boarders, John boaters, and kayakers and canoe guys who want to get on this water, but they don't know really where to go. So I'm using this map to point this out to you. As you come up here, Trough Creek has a section back here that is no wake. If you're looking to get away from the busy day of, high traffic, this is a good place to go. H is all no wake back through here. James Creek as well, but this whole string right here is all no wake. Really good area right here for your paddleboard and kayak. And then back through here, this is what's known as Party Cove, no wake zone. Main channel. The Beer Barrel used to be no wake. They used to have buoys right across here, but they're gone now. So now people rip and run through there, which is the vein of our existence as striper fishermen. But Marty's Island still is no wake zone right across here. So this is a really big area if you want to go back and do some swimming. It's a good area. And I already mentioned here around 7 Points Marina. This is an interesting area back here behind Yoakum's. There are no wake buoys back here. So you're allowed to rip around back here. And it's a shame because that'd be a good area as well. But around the next point, right up here at Cliffs, or Yoakum's might say, this area back here, that is no wake. And I think all the way down to the dam, And then there's a no wake section here. And then, of course, as you get back here into into Snyder's Run, there's some buoys right here. That's no wake as well. Those are the no wake zones. If you're looking to go up and paddle and stay away from the high intensity traffic, those are the no wake zones. We are always going to see people out going on plane and ripping around in the no wake zones. That's an unfortunate reality of Raystown Lake. And this goes back to what I was saying. It's just because there's rules, it doesn't mean everybody knows the rules. And it doesn't mean that everybody follows the rules. That's for them to work out with the Fish and Boat Commission. That's not for us. Just stay clear of them. They'll get theirs. They can only do that so many times before they end up with a ticket. And the interesting thing about Lake Raystown, you guys might notice this, there's overlap because of where it's at and that it's Army Corps of Engineers that owns it, whether it's Fish and Boat Commission, but I'm talking about it's overlap of authorities that actually patrol the lakes. You'll get different folks who actually check boats and such. So there's a lot of eyes at Raystown Lake. You might have noticed that already. I know that I've been written up before. Even me. So all that just to say, just get out of their way, give them some space, and just trust the system. They're going to get pinned, I promise. There's also shallow water buoys on the lake, so just be wise when you're out there. If you're coming up on a point and you see a shallow water buoy, it's actually shallow water. It gets expensive real fast if you drag your engine across one of them points. Not something you want to do. Just navigate wisely. The simple rule, though, that I've been talking about the kayaks and the canoes and stuff, is if you're a powered vessel, if you have an outboard or an inboard, if you got a motor boat and you come up onto someone who does not, they have right of way. Can I encourage you guys, when you go around these smaller vessels, the paddle boards, the kayaks, the canoes, the john boats, if you can just crush your ego long enough, take your boat off of plane when you go past them. Don't rock their world. Do not try to throw them from their vessel. There's nothing glorious about that. So just be patient with them as they're going to be moving a little bit slower than you. And at the very least, take a very wide path. Whenever you go around them, give them a large breadth, Just give them some space. Those small vessels sink so fast. The people get rocked and thrown from them so quickly. It just makes a day miserable if you're out there and people are just acting like that. And if you're if you're out there on a jet ski, you're just going to do what you do, I guess. Jet skis, I think, it's one of those things that they'd be a lot of fun to ride on. They're like a lot of fun for the person who's driving them, You know what I'm saying. Yeah, Scott actually points out something really interesting. Boaters can be held responsible for the damage they cause due to wake. They can. I don't know how that plays out. I think most of the time people just get away with it. Well, think about it. Boat cruising down the lake throws all that wake. Well, he's down 2 miles before that wake gets to the shoreline to create the issues. And 13 boats have followed him already. So it's difficult to track the guy down. You see what I mean? It's just like he gets away with the crime. Yeah. So there's different metrics for the no wake zone. I am actually an advocate for changing that to a not a no wake, but rather a idle speed zone. That is, click it into gear at that idle speed. Whatever that carries your vessel is how fast your vessel should be going in those zones. Big boats, they just push more water and create more wake. A lot of these smaller boats, they can go almost on plane and there's hardly any wake. But these bigger boats, it may not be throwing wakes, but they got these big rollers coming off the back that are just wrecking people's worlds. So I believe in idle speed. If you're inside the no wake zone, just click it into idle speed. The dock's not going anywhere, man. That line at the dock will be waiting for you when you get there. Don't need to rush it. So idle speed inside the no wake zone, guys. There's probably kids out there on little kayaks and stuff. You don't want to toss them in the water. So I linked the products I've been talking about today, whether it's the fire extinguisher, the flares, the life vest, the whistles, all that stuff. I've linked them below in the video. Thank you guys for following those Amazon affiliate links. I appreciate it. We're doing really good with those. You guys have any questions for me? Tonight was just kind of fun for, we're getting ready here in the spring. I guess I could bring this up. We're getting ready here to go fishing now in the spring. And there is some weather that's just ahead of us. So unfortunately, we're not completely done with the garbage that winter brings us. We're probably going to get some cooler temperatures yet, but tomorrow is supposed to be beautiful out. We're going to get a little section of time here where we can really enjoy being outside for the first time, it seems. But there is going to be a little dip in the weather after that, about a week out. And then look at the weekend of the 20th as a good option to get out on the water. I don't know what the weather's going to be like yet, but whatever, if you can do it, that's a good time to shoot for, as long as the weather suits. So you have a little bit of time to get your boat ready. But I'm going to hang out for another 5 or 10 minutes. If you guys want to talk, you want to ask me any questions. But we have that weather coming up. Ultimately, on the dock update that I did here for this most recent one, I mentioned that I was going to shut down dock updates in the live streams for a few weeks while I go to Florida. I canceled Florida. So I'm not going down, and it's in lieu of the ice that's in the forecast. I ride the motorcycle to Florida when I go, so I can't ride the motorcycle in icy conditions. I'm just not going to do it. So I'm going to hang out. These are all bonus live streams and dock updates for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Do you guys enjoy these? Do you guys like the live streams? Do you guys like the dock updates? If you do, that's how you let me know. I'd appreciate it. You're already doing me the favor of watching the videos, but check your subs. Make sure that your sub is up to date. And I know that you guys have multiple people in your family that have been subbing to me. Thank you. We're almost there. The channel is almost at 1,000 subs. If we get to 1,000 subs, YouTube will actually start paying me. Imagine. Don't worry, I'm not depending on YouTube, but I don't know, there's something about it. We like them. Good. Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to a screen. I know you guys are there. I see the numbers, I see the viewership and stuff, and it's not like that. It's just, you gotta imagine, I'm just sitting here talking to a microphone and trying to look at a camera while I do it. So I'm piercing the veil here talking to you guys. I will be, I'm going to be moving over closer to the lake here in at about a month. Between now and then, we have the Raystown Rendezvous coming up, linked below. Try to make it out to that. I got the registration. You guys can go check it out. It is a voluntary registration. What that means is I'm not tracking who registers or anything. It's a voluntary thing. So if you want to contribute to the expenses of the event, you're welcome to do that by doing a registration. Don't let that stop you from coming, though. Most importantly is that you're present for it. So it's the weekend of April 10th, 11th, and 12th. The 11th will be the big day, if you will. And you can camp out, and you can bring some s'more making stuff if you want to have, a little fire and stuff. But if you guys have an RV or a camper, you guys want to bring that and use it. The parking lot is plenty big enough for that. We're just going to boondock while we're there. but camping and stuff, it's always going to be a good time. We're going to have some games. We're going to have some speakers. And honestly, I need to get on it and put together an itinerary. So I'll work on that this week. I'll set that as a goal for myself before the next live stream to have the itinerary finalized so that we know what we have going on. I'll try to get close to that anyway. So now, in a month, we're going to be doing, a month after that, we're going to be doing the bank angling event down at Weaver Falls. You guys may have heard me talk about that already. We did a bank angling event there at Weaver Falls a few years back, and it was a pretty good hit. So we're just going to do it again. It's going to be a good time. And I'm going to try and do a bank angling event each year for us, and I'll move that to different locations on the lake just so that we're moving around the lake a little bit, do some different events. But I think I already know where I'm going next year, so it's going to be pretty good. You guys have any questions for me? Yeah, I appreciate it. See right there, YouTube just told me there's an error. I think what it is, like frame rate drops or something, and it just sends an error code to me. I don't know. It's silly. I'll look at it afterwards. So polish up on your fishing equipment. Polish up your fishing knowledge and get your fishing equipment ready. The spring is right in front of us. You don't want to be caught unaware. You don't want to be caught not ready. So sharpen them hooks. If you guys are ordering anything off Amazon, do me the favor and follow the links down below before you do your shopping. Amazon sends me a small commission check afterwards. Does not cost you anything extra to do that. So thank you. By doing that, you're supporting me. All right, I think I'm going to let you guys go. It's always a pleasure to do a live stream with you. I will be doing a dock update here tomorrow. I'm going to get over and look at the lake. So look for one here on Wednesday. And I think that's it. That's all my announcements. That's everything I got to say. Appreciate you guys for booking all the charters and the consultation trips. All that stuff's available. RandallRydes.com. But I'll see you guys back here or on the dock update. Thanks for stopping in, guys. Appreciate it. Much love. Much respect.